Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right. There's news in there that Mike Johnson, over the past few days, has been inviting a steady stream of Republican lawmakers to his office as he tries to gauge his party and the budget that's coming up. Remember, there are two budgets that need to be passed. One has a deadline of this Saturday or so. I believe it's the 19th. And then the next one is in early February. Freedom Caucus members are very upset with Mike Johnson for coming to a top-level spending agreement with the Senate, Democrats and Republicans, and Joe Biden. And some feel like they should just shut the government down until the border is shut down. That's kind of the more extreme version of it. I guess in this story I've got from AP, and I'll post it in the description, a bunch of moderate Republicans were now visiting with Mike Johnson to say that if he just goes ahead and sticks to his guns and gets these budgets approved, they'll have his back. The Freedom Caucus is making noise about removing him. Different month, same story. All right, so let's take a look. Mind you, this budget that's due next Friday, the 19th, I believe it is, this is the easy one. This is the one funding, the military and such, the stuff that the Border Patrol, the stuff that they're interested in. So, entertainment purpose only. What's the energy around these budgets that are coming up? Well, they're coming up. They're both coming up. Action needs to be taken. And the time for delay is over. You got to start doing the work on this. So right now, Mike Johnson is gathering the data that he needs to figure out what his path forward is. Now, mind you, he should have already have done this a while ago, but such is the problem when you're dealing with a narrow majority and a significant amount of extreme members in your own party. Challenging this planning are the agreements he's already made. You already have the Senate Democrats, the Senate Republicans, and the White House and the House Republican leader all agreeing to a deal. They negotiated a deal. They came to an agreement, and now some people in the House, mostly the extremists, want him to renege on that deal. The moderates want him to honor the deal that he's made. A lot of emotion underneath here. Right now, I suspect he's conflicted because maybe he thought he negotiated a strong deal and didn't expect the backlash he was going to get. And this, underneath all of this, all the problem is being caused by the Freedom Caucus. All of it is being caused by the Freedom Caucus. In the past, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so, get rid of McCarthy, have a bunch of people that you can't agree on, and then all of a sudden they spin the big wheel on Mike Johnson and just put him into this position. And he looks like he's a little bit out of his element. He might have bitten off more than he can chew in this one. We'll see if Moses here can part the Red Sea. Current situation is the magician. Yeah, he's going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat. He's got a couple of budgets he has to manage. And now, is this the high energy magician who can manifest the approval that he needs to get it through? Or is this the guy that's going to deceive folks? And if he's deceiving and casting illusions, who's he casting illusions on? Right now, the Freedom Caucus thinks he's casting illusions on them. But he's got this budget that he agreed to. Time to bring it home. Overarching energy is I think he wants to get this budget done. I'm sure the Republicans in purple districts are asking him get it done because a government shutdown is going to cost them votes. Any typical conservative would not recommend doing a government shutdown in an election year when it's going to be really obvious which party wants the shutdown, because you've got the Freedom Caucus screaming that they want a shutdown. So it's, getting this budget done is small potatoes. Yeah, there's going to be some compromises in there, and the MAGA faction will get some little bits that they want. And he's done that. Apparently they're going to take another $10 billion off of funding of the IRS and yada, yada, yada. But it's not enough. It's not enough. Well, nothing is ever enough for the Freedom Caucus. Nothing ever will be. But what's the best decision for, mind you, this is not what's the best decision for Americans. This is what's the best decision for Mike Johnson and the Republican Party is really what this is all about. The lesson to be learned, you wanted the job. You wanted to be the House Speaker. You thought you were the man for the job. It's now your turn to lead and take this party and where you need it to go. Outcome, 10 of Cups. Hopes, wishes, dreams fulfilled. I think he gets it done. I'm really curious how it happens, and I'll ask how that happens. But the most likely way it happens is that, he brings the budget to the floor for a vote, and 200, say 160 to 170 Republicans are for it, 50 are against it, and then enough Democrats vote for it to get it through, and then that first budget passes. That would be one way to get it through. Now, mind you, and they'll get it through. That's kind of what I'm seeing with the energy is how do you, I guess maybe you could say the 10 of Cups at the end there is like, how do we get this budget through and everybody's happy? Well, the answer is not everybody's going to be happy. But the energy does look rather positive. It looks like they're going to get that through. And that's what I got the last reading. You'll forgive me if I can't see that path forward. Or I should say, the only way I can see that path forward is by taking about a quarter of the Republicans, known as the Freedom Caucus, and ignoring the hell out of them. And then cutting a deal with Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats to get the budget passed with it as is. And I think that's going to work, and I'll ask about that. Because it's already a bipartisan agreement with the Senate Democrats or Republicans. I think Biden's okay with it, and I think basically the House Democrats will play ball and get this thing done so that they can move on. The Republicans have already made a spectacle of it, so the House Democrats don't have. I'm just looking to make sure my deck's I'm looking into the cards. Make sure the deck's facing the right way here. The Democrats don't gain much by having it shut down. People already know it's the Republicans wanting things to shut down. And the Democrats are already on record not wanting to shut it down and pleading for the welfare of people. And the more that the Freedom Caucus screams that they don't care about the welfare of people, the more the Democrats have easy things to campaign with in 2024. Okay. Will Mike Johnson side with the conservatives and moderates in his party? There's going to be decisions made quickly. Yeah, you've run out of time. You darn well better make your decisions quickly. There's still some mystery behind it. Things we don't know about. This could be just promises being made and stuff like that. Empress. I believe that the conservatives are going to tell him, you cannot shut this government down. We need to take care of business here. We need to... at least in this year, we have to pretend like we care about people and want their best interests in there. Otherwise, we're not getting reelected. Now, mind you, the Freedom Caucus, they don't care because they're in gerrymandered or very, very red districts, and they don't have any fear of being voted out. So they can be as extreme as they want to be. And the Four of Wands. Ah, God, yeah, I think this is reaching across the aisle. This is going to have to be, the wedding, it's opening day. It's going to have to reach across the aisle here. And the world card, bring things to an end. And it probably also has things to do with Israel and Ukrainian aid packages. Yeah, underneath that. It needs to make those decisions fast. Probably also the U.S. launching missiles along with, the U.K. and Bahrain and Canada and such. There's a lot going on in this world that the U.S. is involved with. And, not funding it isn't a real option here. It's going to cost American lives. And it's going to cost lives of people in Israel as well as in Palestine. So it's a worldwide issue, too. I think he will bring it to a close. Throw these cards back in. And then we will continue asking. I think that's the message basically the conservatives are going to throw at him, is that this isn't just the United States budget. This is the budget that helps define the U.S.'s place in the world. You've got China, you've got Russia, you've got Iran, you've got North Korea, enemies, countries that are enemies to the United States. And a lot of conspiring going on between those enemies. And the U.S. is looking very weak right now because they can't even get a budget approved, much less get funding for Ukraine or funding for Israel through without, deducting money from the IRS. Because, as I've said before, Israel and IRS, they're so linked because they both have I, R, and S in their names. You can't spell Israel without the IRS. So stupid. Okay. And then the whole manufactured southern border crisis. Will the Republicans, will Mike Johnson have to work with the Democrats in order to get this through? I mean, it's got to be yes. I can't see. There's that strong emotional part again. Oh, this might be the hard part for him, is he actually has to kind of reach out to Hakeem Jeffries for this. And this is what's going to cause the Freedom Caucus to lose their absolute minds. It's the practical thing to do. You want to get that budget through. Be seen as a rational leader. And probably Biden's already talked with the Democrats, and or at least he's talked with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, and they're all on the same page on how to handle this. What strategically is going to be the best for Democratic candidate messaging. Yeah, and it's going to be a huge burden on Mike Johnson to do this. Temperance. Oh, God, you got all these cups with water. Strong emotional thing. This is going to be a really hard thing for him to do because he's going to be basically accused of betraying his party. But in order to get this thing done, it's got to be a bipartisan. It's got to be a bipartisan effort. He's negotiated with Biden and Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell. So, the big kids are all on a board. And he's gotten to develop some relationships with them during those negotiations. So he's kind of being treated like one of the big kids, not the bratty little kids like Marjorie Taylor Greene and such, but one of the big kids. He's one of the big boys. Got to get that budget through. It's important for America. This is going to be really hard on him politically. So will he work with the Democrats? The answer sure looks like, at least for this first one, is going to be yes. And if you're going to do the first one, chances are the second one will go through that same process. All right. How is the Freedom Caucus going to react to Mike Johnson's decision a week from now? Friday the 19th or so. How is the Freedom Caucus going to react to Mike Johnson's budget ideas? This card wants to jump up. We'll leave it on top. Okay, come on. How's the Freedom Caucus going to react? 4 of Wands. They're going to start making noise about removing him. It's judgment time. They're on their high horse, and he sacrificed himself. Time to move on. They may not do it right on the 19th, but this is where they realize that Mike Johnson is no longer their guy. They might try and remove him at that point. It might come up to a vote. Okay, that's going to be cool. All right. Because we just don't have enough drama in this world. Now, mind you, on the 16th, I believe Trump goes in for the E. Jean Carroll opening arguments or such. So that's going to be a fun week next week. Thank you all for, by the way, for going to my community page and giving suggestions on things for me to read. I don't know if it's going to be... News is a little bit slower over the weekend. So if I don't have a whole lot of stuff on Friday, it does help to have a list of suggestions to get me through the weekend. Okay. Will the Freedom Caucus vote to oust Mike Johnson after January 19th? After the budget is pushed through, will they vote to remove him as the House Speaker? Because why would you wait? You wouldn't wait till after the second one's done. Will they vote to remove him? Queen of Cups. Is that keeping control of their motion, or they're letting their emotions burst out? There's the leaving card. It's probably going to let their emotions burst out. High Priestess, King of Wands, Page of Wands, and again the Six of Swords. I mean, they could be keeping a lid on it, but oh. Oh, this is not answering that question. This is answering something else. This is something Bo, the fifth column, has talked about. What this is telling me is that he's put a lid on the Freedom Caucus. Here's your Mike Johnson, center underneath it, King of Wands. He's put a lid on the Freedom Caucus. He's using and he's moving away from the tumultuous, rough waters. Now, the Freedom Caucus is all about creating chaos. So now we're moving away from the chaos, and he's putting a lid on the chaos makers. He's letting them know he's in charge, and he's making a wise decision, or what he feels is a wise decision. And that, he's going forward with a message of change. It might very well be, and this is what Bo talks about, is that that McCarthy should have done this too. The Freedom Caucus can scream and yell all they want, but if he goes with the conservatives and the moderates and then rolls the Democrats in, he gets through this process. And in the same token, he takes the Freedom Caucus and he isolates them. That, those 40 people or 50 people, however many are in the Freedom Caucus, are now in a bubble. And they're isolated from the GOP. And so basically, you have completed the fracturing of the Grand Old Party at that point, because there's a war going on for control of the GOP, and MAGA Mike just might have given the victory of that war to the conservatives. And then the MAGA folks are all on their own, screaming and piss and vinegar and all that stuff. But they can't do anything about it, because if Johnson has negotiated with the Democrats, he's negotiated with the conservatives, it's going to be a vote of about 350 supporting Johnson and 50 to 60 people against him. That's enough to keep him in his speakership. So I think he's playing some political chess right now on that. Interesting that, it's supposed to be MAGA Mike Johnson, and the Freedom Caucus are the ones trying to remove him. We'll see how this all turns out. I could be wrong on that one with my interpretations of the cards, but that's kind of the feel I'm getting, and that matches the last reading I got as well, so at least there's some consistency in there. We'll find out for sure next week as the budget moves through us. Certainly in a week to 10 days' time, we're going to know if the budget got approved and what the MAGA crowd are planning on doing about it. I suspect that if Johnson gets this budget through on a bipartisan nature and the MAGA crowd go after him, the Democrats will support Mike Johnson maintaining his speakership in an effort to make sure that we get the second budget passed in February. After that, he could be on his own. Or at least after the budgets and Ukraine and Israel funding are through, the Democrats will then let the Republicans do what it is that they need to do. Okay? All right. So that's my reading on that. Nobody has to take any drinks. I did not mention her name at all anytime during this reading. And that one, we'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens. That door may be closed at this point, but why close it all the way when I can stick my foot in it just to torture y'all? Anyways, if you don't want to talk about somebody in the comments, I'll mention it. If you really don't want to talk about, throw something in the comments and I will answer it, but then I'll have to take a drink. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your kind words and likes and shares and everything you do to help build this channel up and have it reach out to a wider audience. To folks just discovering this channel recently or today, welcome. Hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.